Hi, I am Andi the Knittress, and this is my little show on YouTube where I like to show everything that I do with yarn, fiber, wool, etc. Any guesses what today's episode is about? I'll give you one hint. It has to do with my sock machine. So, pretty much have been obsessed with making socks, which is awesome because pretty soon I'll be able to throw away all of my store-bought socks and just wear cool socks. So yes, I have made a pair or two of socks. So I also did a few other things, you know, I'll get to those. Did some of those cool ornaments I saw that Aquila was making. I do believe this was a free pattern on, I don't want to say because I'll mess it up. If I remember, I'll try to put it down below. But I did one that's kind of like Halloween-y. Because why not make a Halloween ornament? Because it's awesome. It is a little fiddly to do the beads, but I think that if I had some, I was using fishing line because that's what I had. But I think that if I had, there's this jewelry wire that's very flexible. If I had that, it would have been a lot easier to do the method that I saw in the video. Oh, hey, I put the bead on the wrong one in that spot. It's off center. This is the Gemini colorway that Here in Colors Dye Works, my husband, dyed. I had some left over after socks, so I put some little black beads in there. So that's fun. I mean, I do have a ton of socks, but I really haven't done a whole lot else because we got a pool. And who doesn't want to be outside in a pool when it's ridiculously hot outside? But let's get into these socks. So, I made this pair for my husband. And this is Bobby Girl by Knitty Bow Fiber Co. I absolutely love this micro striping. And the heel is cool and the toe is cool. Sometimes I'm weird about the heel and toe, like disrupting the pattern of the sock, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with another pair that I did. But I just love, this sock is like so cool. And I'm kind of jealous that I did this one for my husband. And because I did all the way to heels, toes, cuffs, everything with this yarn, that means I didn't have very much for myself. So I had to use alternating heels, toes, and cuffs for my pair. And I ran out a little sooner than I thought I would. I think I also used it in something else. That's why I ran out so soon. So I used this gray, and this is a double pair of socks on here because I ran out of ways to display them. So everybody's paired up together. So I had this gray yarn. It's like super soft. It's like 100% acrylic. I think it's by like Loops and Threads. I had bought a while ago when I first started thinking about making socks, and it's really, really soft. It's like really soft, which pairs nicely with these alpaca socks because this is an alpaca blend in here. So I love those. I have no order to this because I don't remember who I did first or whatever, and it's not like you know either. So, here's another pair that I made. This is my pair. This is Malintosh K-Pop, and this is Knitted with Sunshine, maybe? Whatever her yellow color is called. I love the cool spiraled zigzaggy pooling, and it's really fun to look at a yarn and to guesstimate what it's going to do. And then just with a slight adjustment in tension. Oh, where are they? Where are his pair? Oh, right there. With a slight adjustment in tension, the pooling changes. So this is my husband's pair. And this is my pair. And I like my socks tighter than he does. So just a small adjustment in the tension adjusts the way that they pool. I just think that's fascinating to me. And I really love the green that he chose for his, and I gotta learn to stop letting him pick his first because I wish I had the green for mine. But I didn't have enough because these only come in, or the way that I have them, they came in 10-gram minis, and so I only had 2. So that's only enough to do heels, toes, and cuffs. And I literally run out just before I have just enough to be able to Kitchener the toes together. So then another pair I have is, do I have a pair of these also? Is this my pair? See, this is how you know you make too many socks. When things, you don't know who's what. Maybe he wore his already. Nope, there's my pair. I remember now. Yeah, so this is leftover yarn. This is Gamora Nebula. And this skein was leftover from a cowl that I made with assigned pooling, which I will show you now. So I did this cool little cowl. And I haven't blocked it yet, so it doesn't like lay nicely. But I did assigned pooling. I want to say it's Chasing Rabbit Fibers. I think that's the Instagram that I followed. Anyway, if you follow hashtag assigned pooling, you'll find this method. I realized that all you're doing is doing a special stitch to at one color in a skein. Now this skein was like a third. So a third of it was green, a third of it was blue, a third of it was purple. So I chose to do the purple as the assigned color pooling. And so then, you know, the other 2 colors, it kind of looks very aquatic, barnacle-y. I said that last time. But I figured out, you know, just how to do this stitch from a YouTube video. And then I purchased her pattern because I wanted to support, you know, that designer because it was initially her idea, I do believe. So I did this little cowl, had leftover yarn from this assigned pooling, and made my husband these socks. And I just love, these are so cool looking. Like the blue spiraled around, and he's got the pink heels and toes. These are knitted with heels, toes, and cuffs. And I didn't have enough, again, left for me to do a pair of socks. And then the change in tension, it did a micro stripe with the blue instead of the spiral around. It fascinates me. Does it fascinate anybody else how just minute changes can change the way a yarn behaves? So like if you've ever worked up a yarn and you don't love it, frog it and try something else with it, and then you might like it a little better. So these socks I had, this is all Knitted Wit leftover minis. That's what all these, so this is the leftover pink from his. Yes. And I don't know the colors. I think this is Amazonite, and I don't remember. But anyway, it's just, they're just cool. I just love them. And I love that we have matching socks, because I can't make him match me in anything else. He hates when I dress the same as him, but if I notice he has a pair of socks on, I might just go put the matching pair of socks on, and then we can match. So then, speaking of not liking the way something is working out and then trying something different, I had this skein of yarn, and I might have shown it a long time ago on a podcast. It's called Unicorn Barf. It is by Fairy Tale Knits, and I love this yarn. It's a Corriedale base, and I just did not like the way the colors were pooling together, and I was hand knitting that pair of socks. The reds kept being next to greens, and it was reading very Christmas to me, and I still don't love this. I love this yarn in a skein. I still am not in love with this, but this looks so much better than it did when I was knitting it. So I did this, did a 1x1 rib, there's a 3x1 rib here, and then into the sock, and then these are doubled up. You can see how the pooling changed slightly, but I just really like the way the ribbing made that yellow spiral. That was cool. If the whole sock would have done that, I would really have liked them, but it does read very barfy, so Unicorn Barf, I guess, is an accurate name for this colorway. But if you don't like the way something pools, change it. So then I have these awesome socks that I made. This is from Hens and Chicks. This yarn I had to buy from her. It was her zebra yarn, and I don't remember if there was a name for the colorway. I would have to go find my tag and look at it. I can't remember. But I just love this yarn. And I don't think I showed these last time, but maybe I did. I don't know. And I only made me a pair of these. Just me. So, and just used some black. I want to say this is Barocco Ultra Wool Light or Thin. I don't know. It's Barocco. I think it's just 100% superwash. But I love these. And I'm a big fan of the heel tab socks. I like the way they fit a lot. So, there's that pair, and those are awesome. I don't know. I'm all about socks right now. I mean, wouldn't you be if you had a sock machine and you could make a pair of socks in less than 2 hours? I think you would be. So this yarn, I dyed this yarn. My husband went away on a camping trip with some friends, and I snuck into his dye, and I dyed me some zebra yarn in none other than Halloween colors. I love this yarn. It's so soft. I dyed up 2 skeins, and I cranked this pair for my husband, and this is all about the way that pooling changes with gauge. That's basically what this episode is about. So I did myself, I just did a tube with some toes for myself, and I love the way that pooled. I started this for myself with the tension on there, and I was running out of this. This is Hedgehog Fibers is the name of this color? I don't know, but it's hedgehog fibers, and it's one of their like minis. And so I was running out, and I wasn't going to have enough to do the heels and the toes. And rather than do an afterthought toe, because then I would have had the waist yarn, I just cranked it all till it was, you know, I had split the leftovers in half, cranked it all, put a toe on each. And now I'm doing afterthought heel because I went and got more of that orange. And I just love, I would wear a sweater in this yarn. I would, if this was the way that it pooled all over the body, I would wear a sweater like that. Not so much necessarily this one. I don't know that I would like that on a sweater. I love it on socks, but this is kind of a more even pooling, spread out. I would wear that in a sweater. So I would imagine you would have to do like helical knitting to get it to do this coolness in a big sweater, but I don't know if I could probably duplicate it. It wasn't that hard. I know what 3 colors I did, and I just did like a more or less random like pour of the colors in the pot. I could maybe duplicate it so that I could have a cool sweater. I don't know, we'll see. But, so I love those. And I pulled out a skein. This is another skein of Fairy Tale Knits in Corriedale, and this is called Gumdrop Forest. And I guess I just like, I have the Corriedale ones, I like to make tall socks. I feel like they're going to be really great for the colder weather. But I think these pulled up relatively similarly. Maybe not. That one did a cool like zigzaggy. And this one did an almost spirally color in the rib. But that's a fun colorway. I love like Corriedale and BFL and the more rusticy feeling wools. They're my favorites. So that was the skein I've had sitting in my stash forever, waiting to make socks with. I'm really blowing through all of my stash making these socks. I do have, I don't know if you can see, you can't see because the chair's in the way, but in that windowsill I have cones and cones of extra yarn, and I'm gonna have to whittle it down. So next pair I've got is this awesome pair that I just lost the name in my head for. This is a Knitty Bow Fiber Co. colorway. What color is this? Broccoli salad? I don't know. That's not what it's called. John's gonna kill me. Oh my gosh. I don't know. If I remember to look it up, I'll put it down there. But these are for my husband. This yarn is just, it's so soft. And it's like, look at that balanced pooling. That's really awesome. Like, I just love it. My husband's going to be so happy that I finally filmed an episode, because it's been a month I've been like knitting all of these socks, and they've just been hanging. They kind of hang out right here in my little winding area, and I have like hooks and stuff that they hang there, and I won't let him wear any of them until I show them, because he wears his socks and then they get all pilly. So like, this is a brand new pair of socks, not been worn. This is a pair of socks that I made. These are scrappy, and I have worn these, and you can see one tiny pill like right there, but they look relatively the same, you know, as when I knit them. But if I were to go grab a pair of his socks, they're just like pilly all over, and I don't know, he is hard on socks. So but this pair is awesome, because I took a bunch of leftovers that were on, taking up some of my cones, and I made 2 scrappy socks. And I absolutely, well, there's fuzz for my slipper. I absolutely love these socks. These are probably my favorite socks. So there's like a little bit of everybody in there. There's some pretty twisted yarns is right here. We've got, I think this is like a jowl colorway. There's some earth yarns here. This is a little mini I had in my basket forever. This is like to the max yarn right here. This is blazing fibers, and there's some K-pop. We've got all kinds of, they're just like different minis I've had. This is like Trilogy yarns. This is some Wonderland yarns. This is like called Kingfisher from, is it Opal? No, West Yorkshire Spinners. I've got this fun pink yarn that I got out of just a little Ziploc bag of leftover minis, and I don't know, it's my favorite socks because they're all over the place. Nobody else has socks just like this. These are the only ones exactly like this. So, I'm one of a kind. But, putting these together on the sock machine isn't necessarily the most, it's rather time consuming. Because, you know, I just did like a fake Russian join for each time that I changed colors. And so faux Russian join is you kind of just make a loop out of the leftover, and then you take the other loop like that and you just crank it in. An actual Russian join, I think you like unply it a little bit and then kind of twist it around itself, and the same the other way, but I just cranked it in. So sometimes there will be like little ends that might pop out through the sock, but definitely my favorite. I made this pair of socks for my friend. Her name is Becca. Her husband has a 3D printer, and I needed a counterweight for my sock machine, and I was looking to purchase one, and somebody in one of the sock groups had sent me a file on Thingiverse, I guess. I don't know a whole lot about 3D printing, but they sent me like a file, like, you know, hey, you could make one, and I'm like, oh, I don't have a 3D printer. So I messaged my friend Becca, and I was like, hey, do you think that Jason would make this thing for me, and I'll pay him? And they made it, and they only charged me shipping because she's my best friend and she's awesome. So I made them some socks. So I made this pair for her, and this is Trilogy Yarns BFL, and this is, I think it's called Serenity Sock, some leftover purple. And then I made this pair for her husband Jason, and this is Felici, I think it's called Coffee Break, and this is one skein of Felici. Felici comes in 50 grams, and so this is one skein. I did the sock, and then I did the other sock, and I ran out right there on the toe. And if you know anything about circular sock machines, you knit up the toe and then back down, and then you Kitchener stitch right here. So if you look right there, there are 1, 2, 3 rows that I didn't have enough for, and one of those rows is the Kitchener row. So 2 rows I didn't have enough to crank, so I just used some of the gray that I had that was the loops and thread, because it matches pretty well. It did make a weird little stripe there on that toe versus this one that kind of ended up like even, but they're socks, they go on your feet, who cares? So I'm gonna, now that I've shown these, I'm gonna send these off to them because they're awesome and they helped me out big time. So these are for Becca and Jason. If you're watching, Becca, sometimes I think she watches my show, I don't know. And so then I made this pair, which this pair might go to, my husband's got a friend whose birthday is coming up like this weekend or next week. And this is West Yorkshire Spinners, I think they're 4-ply, and this color is called Kingfisher. And I just think that this is really cool, the way this stripes up, and even the heel looks cool. And I like this so much that I cut in some of the yarn, cut out some of the yarn so that they could be exact matchies. And I don't usually do that, but because I'm like, whatever, it'll be where it'll be. But I just thought that the way that worked out on the heel, to where like this little blue and white section lined up with that blue and white section, and then it did the same thing here and there, and then it ended like the corner of the heel, and it's not a corner, it's rounded, but whatever. I just thought it was really cool, so I made them be the same. Y'all sick of hearing about socks yet? I'm almost done with the socks, almost. I got one more pair of socks. When I was doing the scrappy pair, I was, you know, pulling out. I noticed that I had a fair amount of scraps that kind of coincided with each other. So I made this a long pair of more, they're like scrappy socks, they're like a fade. And these go all the way up to my knee, or they can slouch down and be like slouchy socks. So these are mostly, there's driftwood farm yarn is this, and this, and this, and this, and this is from the Grabio Drink color sock set that I got from Arctic Crafts, Bente at Arctic Crafts. So this is also driftwood. So I had bought like a little skein set from my work of the driftwood farms, and I had leftovers from different projects that I was doing, and so they were 20-gram minis to begin with, and I weighed each one, split each one in half so that I could have matching socks. And I wanted to use all of whatever I had left, so I just cranked a really long sock. I started at the top and I did a roll top up here. I just did like an E-wrap so that it would be a roll top, and then I had no heel spring on all the way till about the pre-heel. There's like 15 rows here where I had turned the heel spring on, did the heel, left the heel spring on for the foot because I like a tight sock on my foot, but I've got giant calves, so needed to have all the space in the leg. And you know, that's almost like this, that could almost fit over a baby's head. But I saw, and I'm going to see if I liked the post on Instagram. I saw somebody posted on Instagram. They had a sweater that ended with just, it was all stockinette and it rolled just a little more than they liked. And they figured out that if you take some of the yarn and you weave it through the back of every other bump on the reverse stockinette side, and I did that, and I'd skip a row and I'd come back up and I would just keep going, and I did that on the front of the sock, and it stopped it from rolling like a ton. So I don't know if you can see. So I did it on the front and not on the back. And if you notice, the back rolls a little more than the front. But I think that helps like stabilize it a little to where you don't have, like, I feel like it would roll down, you know, probably that much on its own if I hadn't woven the ends like that. I mean, obviously it took a really long end to go all the way across the front of the sock from like here to here, but I thought that that was a nifty little trick. So if you ever have like a sweater and you want it to finish with a rolled edge, but it rolls too much, or, you know, a little baby stocking cap, just do a little bit of, you know, weaving in, and it stops it from rolling. I'm gonna see if I can't find who to give credit for that, because I don't remember whose post I saw it in, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like, it's not my idea, somebody else's idea, and she probably got it from somebody else, but she did a post about it and had pictures, and so I was like, oh, I could do that on these. So now I've got these really cool slouchy socks, and who doesn't love a good slouchy sock? Alright, that's the last pair of socks. I do have some other things to show you. I showed you the assigned pooling cowl, and I just have two other things that are finished. So I saw a picture of this really cool fox scarf on one of the groups that I belong for, the circular sock machines on Facebook, and there is a pattern for it that you can purchase, but I just like to see if I can do things without the pattern. I like to see if I'm like, okay, I know what that skill is. I can achieve that. Oh, I just got my own hair in my mouth. I can achieve that without, you know, having a pattern. I want to see if my brain can figure out the construction of something, and I've always been that way with lots of things. And so it was this cute little fox scarf, and I wanted to see if I could do it on the circular sock machine, and it is a pattern for the circular sock machine. Now, this side I did right. This is the tail. This triangle here is kind of like the picture looked. But I started on the other side, the head side, which you can see is a lot more tapered. I didn't need to do a row in between each one of that. It made it more tapered at the thing. I'm more tapered up here, kind of like if you were knitting a stocking cap, like one of those Christmas stocking caps, and you want it to be really tapered and have a long tail. You would knit so many rows in between each decrease, and that's essentially what I did on the circular sock machine. I do, you know, I do a row and then wrap each row, and then do a decrease, and then do a row, wrap on this side, wrap on that side, do a decrease on this side, then do a decrease on that side. And I did that all the way to the very tippy tip. I didn't need to. I only needed to do it to about here and then taper it off. But whatever, I was learning from, you know, was trying to apply what I thought it did in my brain. And then, so you more or less start with, it's like starting with a toe. So if you had the circular sock machine and you wanted to do a toe up sock, you do that, but then you're just doing a wrapped row in between. So you start with a toe, which starts on half of it. Then I went around and did another toe immediately. So I did a toe on the front half, and then when I was completed with that, going to around the back, I cranked around the back and did a toe on the back half, and then did that one, and then cranked 2 rows, and then did a mini pointed toe for this ear, and then immediately went over and did a mini pointed toe for this ear. Now this here is duplicate stitched on, and then I went into the brown, did a big long tube, and then ended with a pointed toe. So, and then I just put a little snap on the mouth and made this cute little fox scarf. However, my son came out and he's like, oh cool, you made an opossum. And I'm like, oh, it kind of does look like a possum, sort of. So I made a possum scarf. But I mean, there's a pattern for it, and I just didn't need to because I could figure it out with my brain. And I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's wrong for me not to buy that pattern, but I don't know. I just looked at the item and I'm like, oh, I know exactly how to do that, and then I did it. It's not like I'm trying to resell my idea. It's not my idea. I'm not trying to resell it or anything or make money off it. I'm just like, oh, I know how to do that. But I obviously didn't because I messed up. So, but now I do. But anyway, that was fun to be able to see something and think, hey, I could do that. Oh, I did make 2 other things. I'll have to put pictures in here. I'll put a picture in right here. I made a little like bandana on the circular sock machine with 2 pointed ends, and then you just tie it like how cute little bow. I made one for me, well, my mom, and then one for Scarlett. I don't think I got pictures of the one I made for Scarlett. But I do have a picture of the one I made for my mom. So I will put that in there. And then the last thing I did on the circular sock machine is I had lots of scraps, and I wanted to, like, some of it wasn't enough for socks and some of it was, and I just wanted to crank a giant tube. So that is what I did. A huge infinity scarf. And I love it. There's so many yarns in here that I'm so happy. See here, right here, that's the Bobby Girl by Knitty Bow Fiber Co. Here, let me take this off so I can show you everybody. But I can adjust it and switch it, and, you know, like, oh, I want to wear, you know, have this color today or this color today. And I just think it's awesome. So let's show you everybody that's in here. So there's Bobby Girl, married to Pretty Twisted Yarns. This is the You're Crazy Witch. This is, I don't remember what this one's called. I got it off of Etsy a couple years ago. I'm pretty sure it's called like Halloween. It's very Halloween. It's sparkly. And I had made a pair of socks out of it that didn't fit me. I ended up gifting them to my grandmother. And then this is Mani Petty by Lion Brand. And this is Blazing Fibers. Oh, this is really testing my memory. Pineapple Express. This is Uluru, I think. This is Gemini by Here in Colors Dye Works. This is Brown Cascade 220 Heritage. This is some scrap yarn that I don't know that came with my circular sock machine. They had made like a little part of a sock to basically say, hey, look, it can do ribbing and it can turn a heel, and they put it in there to like show, hey, this is what you do. So I just frogged it and I put it in my infinity scarf. This is Mood, Regia Mood. There's a tiny bit sliver there of my Once Upon a Corgi pinstripe, and then there's a little bit of the I think this one is it. It might be the Hey You're Crazy Witch, or it might be, is the purple the same as, it's either Hey You're Crazy Witch, or it's a little sliver of, from There's a Beetle in My Juice, right here, those 2 stripes. This is Blazing Fibers Biodiesel. There's a little bit more of that Cascade Heritage 220 Brown. This is Autumn, or for the cool people, Cool Ranch Doritos. By Here in Colors Dye Works. This is Hens and Chicks. There's some more Knitty Bow Fiber Co. And I want, maybe this was OBX Rum Drops. Maybe that's what this color was. I don't know. This is also here in Color Dye Works, but we didn't like this base, so we didn't sell this one. It's like a sparkly, it's called Mermaid Lagoon, but we did not like this base, and so we didn't want to send that out to people because we weren't fans of it. This is called Naughty Lady Yarns, because our colors are purple and red. That's my local yarn store. This was dyed by, I don't remember what she called herself. I want to say she called herself Chameleon Colorworks, but it's not the same one that I've seen that's out there now. This is a lady named Nancy who's local Roseburg to me. And then there's a beetle in my juice, little stripe there. And then this is well, this one's Barocco Comfort. This one is, oh, this is another mani-pedi, Lion Brand mani-pedi. This is Alexandra's Crafts, is what it said on our skein, but I do believe she's Alexandra Art of Yarn now. This was the local yarn store day color for 2019. This is Time Warp by Blazing Fibers. And this is some of a, hey, where's those socks at? I don't know if I showed those. They're probably in my drawer. Anyway, I bought a Zauberball, a crazy Zauberball by Schopel, and it was this colorway, and I made myself 2 long socks. I will pop a picture in right here if I remember of those socks, but that was what was left over after the 2 long socks, and then we come back around to Knitty Bow Fiber Co. But I love this scarf because I can wear it 4 times around, or I could adjust it and do 3, and I could turn it, have different colors next to my face. I could be like, all right, let's do some Halloween vibes and put those out in the front, and like, who doesn't want a huge infinity scarf? I don't know. I do. And so I have a whole bunch more leftovers back there, and the next one I do, I might try to coordinate them a little better and have like an overall cohesive vibe. But I just like that. I used up a ton, emptied a ton of cones doing this. I like it a lot. And so, if you do this, and you have a circular sock machine, when you go to Kitchener them together, be sure to remove your setup bonnet, because I did not, and I Kitchenered them together. I don't remember where it was. I want to say I ended with right here is probably where I Kitchenered them together. Boom, boom. And I had this end, and it had the scrap yarn on it, and then this side was attached to the zip cord and the setup on it, and I just put them together, and I'm Kitchenering, and I'm Kitchenering, and I'm Kitchenering all the way around, and then my setup bonnet was stuck around this tube. And I'm like, I'm going to have to undo that entire Kitchener stitch to get my setup bonnet off of there. And then I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. So I cut my setup bonnet, because the setup bonnet that I had had a drawstring at the bottom. So it was like a hollow tube, and you could drawstring the bottom, so you could put a soft weight in there if you wanted. Oh, and then you could undo the drawstring and get the weight out. So that's the one I had used when I did this, and so it was just, in a tube around that, and so I had to cut the setup on it. But then I just ran it under my sewing machine, and so it's still usable setup on it. But yeah, that was a dummy move on my part. But hey, I didn't know until I did it. So the only other thing that I have been working on, which not a ton because it hasn't grown. I don't remember where I was last time I showed you guys, but I have been working on my Vertices Unite by Stephen West for the Hustlers Unite cowl, and I am not going to get done because sock machine and swimming pool. So yeah, I only knit on this on Saturdays at work because we get to sit and knit on Saturdays and in between actually working. So this is where I am. Here, let me untie this. I got some of that tubey stuff that Chevy Rull showed. I think it's like, oh, you can't really see. Anyway, it's like a hollow tube here, and I use it for the waist yarn, and it's kind of grippy so it doesn't go anywhere. I ordered some off of Amazon. So there's my section 1, and that's Nature's Camo and Grape Soda. And there's my section 2, which is Galaxy and Hammock Hangout. And here's my section 3 coming along, and that is Tiger Lily. And I am so close to being almost to that point where then I'll start decreasing this rectangle here. And from what I hear, section 1's the longest, section 2 is the second longest, and all of the other sections go pretty quickly. I'm almost there, but I love it. This is gonna look so awesome on me when I'm done. Like, it's just gonna make me so happy. I do need to finish it. I have a ton of other whips. Nobody's been touched, so I'm not going to show anybody. I got several sweaters that I do want to get done before it gets too cold. Maybe I'll pick them up soon. I've got a couple of things that I have to get done for work. But other than that, I've just been making socks because who doesn't want to? Oh, so I did the giveaway last time, and the person that won has not reached out to me, so I will give you, if I haven't heard from you until by the next episode that I film, I'm gonna pick a new winner on the next episode. So go back, watch the last episode, see if you were the winner. If you were, please get a hold of me so that I can mail you your prize. I just wanted to show you a couple of things that my husband's been working on. He's been playing with colors to see what they do. We finally picked the base that we're gonna have as our main base, and it'll be called, he's naming all of his bases after local waterfalls, and so this base will be called named after his favorite waterfall, which is Lamolo Falls. So it'll be called Lamolo Falls. And so he's been playing with how the colors take specifically on this base. And so we had a cone, and I wound these into 33 gram minis because 33 grams is good. You get a decent sized cuff, you get a heel, and you get a toe. 20 grams sometimes you don't get quite enough, in my opinion. So I think that 33 grams is perfect because it's like a third of a skein. So, you know, that's like one skein's worth of yarn right there, 33 grams. So in the future, if we do sock sets, or, you know, if I can convince them to do like a sock set, it'll come with a 33 gram mini because that's my personal knitter opinion for the perfect size mini for a sock set. So he's just been playing around with some colors. I am in love with this color. He's done a couple others. Where did I use them in? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, I didn't. Oh no, this was the first set. I haven't used his yet. I have plans to make this a set of socks. This is a new colorway that's going to be in his shop update, I think, this weekend, which will be like August. Today's August 2nd, so the weekend after that. This is called River Water. And if you guys, I mean, everything he does is going to be inspired by Oregon rivers, hiking, camping, the coast, like nature. That's what he loves. That's what it's inspired by. And occasionally he'll throw in like Halloween for me, because that's what inspires me, Halloween. So I'm going to do a pair of socks out of this right here, because I just like those guys together. But there's not a whole lot other than, you know, summer going on here. It's a lot of like hanging out, getting in the pool. You know, summer's winding down. I can't believe it's August already, which means the kids are going to start school soon. So that's all that's going on here. Let me know down below what you've been doing this summer. Have you been crafting your summer away? Have you been enjoying nature? Have you been hiding from the heat? Because that's what I do. I hide from the heat. Let me know down below. And in the meantime, just take everything one stitch at a time, because that's all you can do.